Now, before getting into anything else with this video, I need to explain one very important concept to all of you, and that is the countdown rule. What it means is that as a Division 2 content creator, you're given one voucher per year, and when you exchange that voucher, you get to spotlight and talk about Countdown and how good it is for farming in video. Right? It's 2025, everybody knows that Countdown is the best place to farm in the Division 2, but if you exchange your voucher, you still get to do it once per year. And so today's my day. I'm handing in my 2025 voucher, and yes, you're here watching a Countdown video. Now you might say, Rogue, why are you making a Countdown video? Why are you choosing to use your voucher now? Well, for one, it's July, and July is the slowest month of the year for Division. Not much is happening. Also, for being honest, I needed a couple of more days to work on the more original and interesting videos I've got cooking. But what actually motivated me to do so was because here I am doing a random Countdown run yesterday trying to farm a particular AR, when out of nowhere, to my shock, I received not one exotic, not two exotics, but 3 exotic drops from a singular Countdown run. I was pretty astounded. This is no question the most I've ever gotten from a single run. I'm pretty sure my previous record was just 1, but indeed I got 1 Striga and 2 St. Elmo's engines from a singular run, and one of those was pretty darn god-rolled. And then, if you'll believe it, I got another Elmo's the next run. 4 exotics in 30 minutes time, pretty solid. And so that happening cemented to me that, as with all things, passage of time can sometimes cause us to lessen our grip on our beliefs. In these recent months, I've kind of laxed how much I've played Countdown, and I've seen, in the community, Summit has been getting a little bit of a surge of popularity, and so I started to think, maybe there are viable alternatives out there to Countdown in terms of farming efficiency. But I think it's safe to say that yesterday was Countdown reaching through the screen, slapping me across the face, and saying, I'm still the best. And to be fair, we've had a ton of new players join the game in recent months, from the DLC release, from the launch on Game Pass, and more. So I don't think that spreading the gospel of Countdown every now and then hurts. Even if one newer player gets educated from this video, then I consider that a win. So for the rest of this video, if you want to get a bunch of exotics in not that much of an amount of time, if you just want to get a ton of loot overall, more than you can get anywhere else in the Division 2's endgame, then I'm going to give you a lightning fast rundown of what Countdown is and how it works. So, now that we're like halfway into the video, be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date on all of my Division 2 content. Additionally, as always, shout out and thank you to our channel members. Your support is beyond appreciated. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, so at a high level, Countdown is an 8-player PvE game mode where you are racing against the clock to complete various objectives on a set map before the timer expires, and if you don't extract by then, you fail. Now, I know some people prefer to play solo. That is an option here. You can lower the difficulty to make it more doable as a solo player, but the objectives in this mode do not require any kind of real communication or coordination, so if you can at least tolerate being in a group with other people, it is much more advantageous to play this in a group and do it on the appropriate difficulty. So, Countdown unlocks at level 40, and once you hit that mark, you should be able to see it on your map up at the upper right corner of DC. Additionally, you can visit the helicopter pilot in the base of operations, and it will be on the list here. Before heading in, though, there is one very important thing that you need to do, and that is set your targeted loot. Unlike the rest of the game's content, which has a predetermined rotation of targeted loot allocation each day, with Countdown, you have the ability to target whatever you want at any time with no restrictions or limitations. So if you hover over the icon for Countdown on your map, you'll see a prompt at the bottom that lets you open the targeted loot selector. You can also open up your map when you're in the Countdown mode, hit the same button, and change this mid-match. But yeah, you can choose anything you want here. If you want to go after a particular brand set, ear set, if you want a certain sniper, let's say, whether it be high-end or exotic, whatever you're going after, whatever build you're trying to farm up, you can do so via this selector. Additionally, before heading in, it's very important that you keep enough inventory space so that you can pick up all of this loot that's going to be dropping. If you leave it on the ground, it's not going to be delivered to you later. I typically try and have at least 40 spaces available. That's right, within this quick 15-minute window, you're probably going to be getting upwards of 40 pieces of loot, so just make sure that you have those open slots ready to go. Now, once you open up the Countdown menu, you're faced with a bunch of different options. The same normal through heroic difficulty slider that is present on the rest of the game's content is available here. The recommended difficulty for the vast majority of players in Countdown runs is challenging. Normal and hard, especially if you're playing with a group, are just too easy, and it lowers the loot quality enough that it's not really worth playing. Heroic, on the other hand, increases the difficulty by such a noticeable amount that it's typically not worth the risk of not completing the objectives just to get marginally better loot. So Countdown is really that sweet spot where an 8-player group with no coordination can still complete it quite easily, but at the same time, you're still going to be getting decently rolled drops. And so, especially if you're a brand new player to the endgame, I do not recommend that you go into Heroic. Do challenging at the very least, or if you want to try something below that, you can. So, upon selecting that, just hit Matchmake, join up to the group. You gotta wait for the group leader to start the match once everybody's filled in. Once you get into the mode, you'll spawn with 3 of your fellow agents, and especially if this is your first time playing, right, if you're new enough to need a guide like this, then really all you need to do is follow your group, right? There are a bunch of little intricacies to this mode. There are roaming hunters, little buffs you can activate, there are different objectives that need to be completed within a certain amount of time, but with 7 other people on your team, you can really rely on their knowledge of the mode and the power of their builds, right? Even if you can't really do that much damage to that many ads, just follow them around, pick up the loot that drops. After 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, you should get a pretty good idea of what's going on here. It's not too complex in the grand scheme, but yeah, just tag along, learn as you go. Only other thing to point out is by the time you've gone through all of these objectives and you find yourself at the extraction zone at the very end of the mode, if you die within this extraction portion of the mode, it is permadeath, right? You're not going to come back, you cannot be revived, and you'll be booted out of the mode. So especially if you're lower level or you don't quite know what's going on, just hang back, let the team do their thing. And if you do find your way to the extraction site itself, do not call the flare, and if you are going to, wait until the timer is almost out. The majority of groups will wait until then to get the maximum amount of enemies to spawn, meaning the maximum amount of possible loot. So if there's like 2 minutes left, don't call the flare. You might get a couple of upset agents if you do. The other pro tip I will offer specifically for this extraction portion, but also just for Countdown in general, do not use a skill build within this mode. I know that sounds pretty restrictive, but with the amount of hunters they're going to be facing, they have the ability to hack and turn your skills against your team. And there have been many a tragic tale within the Division 2 where people will get their drones or other skills hacked, it goes and kills a few players, and things kind of fall apart from there. So yeah, just don't bring a skill build in, and you'll be good. Other than that, enjoy all of the loot. Like I said, within a quick 15-minute session, you can get easily 40 or more pieces of gear. It's very, very good. And then finally, be aware that at the base of operations at the White House, there is a little table up to the side here that is the Countdown requisition store, and with currency that you earn by playing the Countdown mode, you can actually go and buy further rewards here, as if you weren't already getting enough loot. This includes a selection of rare named items every week, and various caches like named item, optimization, exotic caches. So yeah, don't forget to visit here every now and then and see how much you can get. Well, there you have it, my friends. That is the video. I had to come on here and share my wild experience of getting 3 exotics from one Countdown run. Also, I needed to redeem my voucher, as I said. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope this video was informational to at least someone out there. And yeah, down in the comments, I would love to know what your record is for how many exotics you've pulled from a single Countdown run. Have you gotten 3, maybe even more? Let me know. Like I said, that was quite a shock to me. That's going to do it for me today, though, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. RogueGold out.